20 minutes into the battle, Admiral Quellen's fleet had lost over half its ships. 3,000 vessels destroyed, 2,000 more damaged and retreating. The remaining 5,000 ships tried to reform their lines, but the confusion caused by the cyber attacks made coordination nearly impossible. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display with focused intensity. The neural network warfare system continued processing combat data, predicting alien movements before they happened, and directing human fire with surgical precision. Squadron 12 has destroyed their assigned targets, Lieutenant Doyun reported. Moving to engage the next cluster. Confirmed, Yuna replied. Redirect them to support Squadron 7. The enemy is attempting to form a defensive line in Sector 9. Across the battlefield, human ships executed the new orders instantly. While Confederation commanders struggled to communicate with their subordinates through damaged networks, human vessels moved as one unified force. The difference was stark and deadly. On his command ship, Admiral Quellen watched another wave of his vessels disappear from the tactical display. He had studied warfare for over a century. He had commanded fleets in dozens of campaigns. He had written papers on military strategy that were taught in every Confederation academy. And none of it mattered now. The humans were not fighting by any rules he understood. Their tactics made no sense according to traditional military doctrine. They broke formation constantly, operated in chaotic patterns, and seemed to thrive in the confusion that would paralyze any properly trained military force. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, we have lost 70% of our fleet. Our remaining ships are scattered and unable to coordinate effectively. The humans have not lost a single vessel, not one. In 25 minutes of combat, 800 human ships had destroyed 7,000 alien vessels without taking a single loss. It was the most one-sided battle in galactic history. How? Admiral Quellen asked, his voice barely a whisper. How did they do this? His science officer, who had been analyzing human weapons throughout the battle, provided an answer. Admiral, I have completed preliminary analysis. The human technology is not more advanced than ours in the traditional sense. It is different. They approached every problem from angles we never considered. She pulled up data on the main screen. Their kinetic weapons use magnetic acceleration combined with quantum field manipulation. We abandoned kinetic weapons centuries ago because we thought energy weapons were superior. But at relativistic speeds, kinetic weapons become unstoppable. The humans knew this and specialized in it while we forgot. And their ships? Quellen asked. Their drive systems use principles we classified as theoretically possible but impractical. The science officer continued. We decided the energy requirements were too high and the engineering too complex. The humans apparently disagreed and made it work anyway. Admiral Quellen closed his eyes. They are not primitives. They never were. No, sir, the science officer agreed. They are innovators. While we spent millennia perfecting what we already knew, they spent centuries trying everything we dismissed, and some of those dismissed ideas turned out to be devastatingly effective. On the Indomitable, Commander Hyunwoo received a communication request from the alien flagship. He accepted it, and Admiral Quellen's face appeared on the screen. The alien commander looked like he had aged years in the past half hour. Commander Hyunwoo, Quellen began, his voice heavy with defeat. I wish to discuss terms of surrender. The bridge of the Indomitable fell silent. Every human officer turned to look at the screen, hardly believing what they were hearing. The mighty Confederation fleet was surrendering to them. You have 42 minutes of combat, Hyunwoo replied calmly. That is 12 minutes faster than your prediction that we would last. I suppose we exceeded expectations, Admiral Quellen nodded slowly. You did more than that. You taught me something I thought impossible to learn at my age. You taught me humility. He paused, then continued. We will withdraw all Confederation forces from human-claimed territory. Kepler 442b is yours? We acknowledge your military superiority and request only that you spare my remaining ships. Your surrender is accepted, Hyunwoo said. Order your fleet to power down weapons and withdraw to a distance of 1 million kilometers. Any ship that attempts to fire or approach our formation will be destroyed. Understood, Quellen replied. Commander, before I go, I must ask, how long have you been planning this? Hyunwoo considered the question. Since the day we made first contact with your Confederation. We studied you. We learned how you think. We identified your weakness, which was, Quellen asked. Arrogance, Hyunwoo said simply. You stopped growing because you thought you had already reached perfection. You stopped learning because you thought you knew everything. You stopped adapting because you thought you would never need to. That made you vulnerable to anyone who was still hungry, still learning, still growing. Admiral Quellon absorbed those words in silence. Then he nodded once more. A harsh lesson, but perhaps a necessary one. Thank you for the instruction, Commander. I hope we can meet again under better circumstances. The communication ended. Across the battlefield, Confederation ships powered down their weapons and began their withdrawal. The battle was over. On Earth, President Nari received word of the victory from the Military Command Center. She had been watching the battle through live feeds, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. When the final confirmation came through that the Confederation had surrendered, she allowed herself to smile. She immediately scheduled an emergency broadcast to the Galactic Confederation Council. When her image appeared on screens across the galaxy, she spoke with calm authority. Chancellor Vextor, members of the Confederation Council, I bring greetings from humanity. By now you have witnessed the outcome of the battle at Kepler 442b. Your fleet predicted they would destroy us within hours. Instead, we claimed victory in 42 minutes. She paused, letting that fact sink in across the galaxy. For years you have treated humanity as an inferior species. You believed we were primitives who achieved space travel through luck. You thought our technology was outdated, and our tactics were predictable. These beliefs were not mistakes. They were carefully cultivated deceptions. Images appeared behind her, showing human technology that the Confederation had never seen before. Advanced weapons systems, quantum-enhanced engines, sophisticated cyber warfare programs, all of it hidden while humanity pretended to be weak. We allowed you to underestimate us, President Nari continued. We showed you what you expected to see while building capabilities you never imagined. We learned from every encounter, adapted to every challenge, and prepared for the day when you would push us too far. Chancellor Vextor's face appeared in a response transmission. His expression showed a mixture of shock, fear, and grudging respect. President Nari, humanity has proven itself a formidable military power. What are your terms? Simple, Nari replied. Full recognition of all human-claimed territories. Immediate cessation of all hostile actions against human interests. And most importantly, respect. Treat us as equals, not as primitives to be managed. These terms are acceptable, Chancellor Vextor said quietly. The Confederation formally recognizes humanity as a major galactic power. We will not interfere in your expansion, and we hope to establish peaceful relations going forward. Agreed, Nari said. Let this be the beginning of a new relationship between our peoples. One based on mutual respect rather than assumed superiority. As the transmission ended, President Nari leaned back in her chair. Around her, the military command center erupted in cheers. They had done it. Against impossible odds, humanity had not just survived, but triumphed. Professor Taehyun watched the celebration from his laboratory deep beneath Earth's surface. Engineer Sora stood beside him, both of them looking at the screens showing the victory. We won, Sora said quietly. The plan actually worked. It worked because we understood something the Confederation forgot, Taehyun replied. Innovation comes from necessity. The Confederation had no needs, so they stopped innovating. Humanity has always struggled, always fought, always had to improve just to survive. That made us stronger. Back on the Indomitable, Commander Hyunwoo addressed his crew over the ship-wide communication system. Officers and crew of the United Human Nations Fleet, today we achieved something that will be remembered throughout galactic history. We faced an enemy that outnumbered us 12-1, and we emerged victorious without losing a single ship. He paused, looking around the bridge at the faces of his crew. You all know that this victory came from careful planning, years of preparation, and the courage to face overwhelming odds. But I want you to remember something else. This victory came because we are human. We adapt, we innovate, we survive. Those qualities have carried us from the caves of Earth to the stars above, and they will carry us even further. Captain Yuna, standing beside him, smiled. She had been promoted to admiral during the battle, though the formal ceremony would come later. Sir, what happens now? Now, Hyunwoo replied. Now we build. The Confederation learned today that humanity is not to be underestimated. Other species will learn that lesson too. The other fleet waited in apparent fear, hiding devastating secrets beneath a facade of weakness. The countdown reached 0. 72 hours had passed since Commander Hyunwoo rejected the Confederation ultimatum. Now the moment of truth had arrived. The Krillian fleet, 10,000 ships strong, moved into attack position around the human defensive formation near Kepler 442b. Admiral Quellon sat in his command chair, watching the tactical display with calm satisfaction. His fleet had formed a perfect sphere around the human position. Every angle was covered. Every escape route was blocked. The humans were trapped like fish in a net. All ships report ready for combat, his tactical officer announced. Excellent, Admiral Quellon replied. Open a communication channel to the human flagship. I will give them one final chance to surrender. The screen flickered to life, showing Commander Hyunwoo on the bridge of the Indomitable. The human commander looked tired but defiant. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations, apparently unaware that they were about to die. Commander Hyunwoo, Admiral Quellon began, this is your final opportunity to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Surrender now and your people will be treated with mercy. Refuse and your fleet will be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to respond. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Admiral Quellon, I appreciate the offer, but my answer remains the same. If you want Kepler 442b, come and take it. Admiral Quellon sighed almost sadly. Very well. Your bravery is admirable, but bravery without wisdom is just foolishness. You will be remembered as the commander who threw away 800 ships and thousands of lives for nothing. May your ancestors forgive you. He cut the communication and turned to his weapons officer. All ships weapons free. Begin the assault. Across the Confederation fleet, 10,000 ships activated their weapon systems. Plasma cannons charged. Missile tubes opened. Energy weapons locked onto targets. The aliens had conducted this operation hundreds of times before. It was practiced, efficient, and utterly devastating. The first wave of fire erupted from the alien fleet. Thousands of plasma bolts and missiles streaked through space toward the human formation. The tactical displays showed the projectiles converging on their targets. Impact in 30 seconds. On the Indomitable, Captain Yuna watched the incoming fire on her screen. Commander, they have fired. Approximately 10,000 simultaneous shots. Impact in 25 seconds. Acknowledged, Hyunwoo replied calmly. He looked at Engineer Sora, who stood ready at a special console. Sora, activate Protocol Omega. Activating now, Sora said, her fingers flying across the controls. Across the human fleet, 800 ships received the activation signal simultaneously. The dormant programs that had been sleeping in their systems for months suddenly woke up. Reality began to shift. Admiral Quellon watched his tactical display, expecting to see human ships desperately trying to dodge the incoming fire. What he saw instead made no sense. The human ships, which had been clustered together in a defensive formation, suddenly exploded into motion. Not the slow, predictable movement his intelligence had documented. No, this was something else entirely. The human ships accelerated faster than should be possible. They moved like fighter craft instead of capital ships, dodging and weaving through the incoming fire with impossible precision. Most of the plasma bolts and missiles missed completely. The few that connected hit shields that were far stronger than expected, barely scratching the human vessels. What is happening? Admiral Quellon demanded, standing up from his chair. Those ships should not be able to move like that. His tactical officer frantically worked his controls. Sir, the human vessels are exceeding their documented maximum speed by a factor of 3. Their maneuverability is off the scale. This is not matching any of our intelligence data, but that was only the beginning of Admiral Quellon's problems. The human ships were not just dodging. They were attacking, and their weapons were nothing like what the Confederation expected. Lieutenant Do-hyun activated his weapon systems, and across the fleet, human ships opened fire. The kinetic weapons that the aliens thought were primitive and limited suddenly revealed their true nature. Projectiles accelerated to near light speed erupted from human railguns. The mass drivers, enhanced with technology the Confederation did not know humans possessed, fired solid rounds that moved so fast they became relativistic weapons. The first alien ship struck by these weapons simply disintegrated. The kinetic energy was so massive that shields and armor might as well have been paper. The projectile punched through the vessel and exited the other side, the entry and exit holes glowing white-hot before the ship exploded from internal damage. In the first 30 seconds of actual combat, 400 Confederation ships ceased to exist. Admiral Quellon stared at his tactical display in horror. Red icons representing destroyed ships were appearing faster than his computer could track. This is impossible. Our shields should stop kinetic weapons. They are not normal kinetic weapons, his science officer shouted over the chaos. These projectiles are moving at 0.9 light speed. At those velocities, kinetic energy overcomes any energy shield we have. But the nightmare was not finished. As Admiral Quellon tried to process this disaster, Specialist Hegian aboard the Indomitable activated the second phase of humanity's attack. The viruses that Lieutenant Do-hyun had planted in Confederation networks 6 months ago suddenly activated. Thousands of alien ships experienced simultaneous system failures. Communication networks crashed. Alien commanders tried to issue orders, but their subordinates could not receive them. The carefully coordinated fleet formation dissolved into confusion as ships lost contact with each other. Weapon targeting systems malfunctioned. Alien gunners found their displays showing false information or no information at all. Shots that should have hit human ships instead fired into empty space or, in some cases, hit other Confederation vessels. Shield generators flickered and died. Ships that should have been protected found themselves suddenly vulnerable. Human kinetic rounds tore through hulls without resistance. Restore communications, Admiral Quellon shouted. Override the system failures. We are trying, sir, his communications officer replied, sweat dripping down his face. But the virus is adapting faster than we can counter it. It is like nothing we have ever seen before. The truth was simple but devastating. The Confederation had lived in technological comfort for so long that they had stopped updating their security systems. Their networks used protocols that were centuries old, refined but never fundamentally changed. Human cyber warfare specialists, trained in an environment where hacking and counter-hacking were constant, had found those ancient systems laughably easy to infiltrate. On the Indomitable, Captain Yuna coordinated the human assault with brutal efficiency. The neural network warfare system that Professor Tae-hyun had developed was processing millions of combat variables every second, identifying weaknesses in the alien formation and directing human fire for maximum effect. Target Cluster 7 has shield failures, Yuna announced, redirecting Squadrons 3 through 6 to exploit the opening. Human ships moved with coordinated precision that the confused alien fleet could not match. Where the Confederation relied on hierarchical command structure and chain-of-command communications, humans used distributed processing. Every ship's combat AI was connected to the central neural network, allowing for instant tactical adaptation without requiring orders from above. The battle had been going for 15 minutes, and it was already a massacre. Not the massacre Admiral Quellon had predicted, where humans would be destroyed. No, it was the opposite. The Confederation fleet was being torn apart. Colonel Minho, watching from his position in the Marine Bay, felt a grim satisfaction. His battalions were standing by for boarding operations, but at this rate, there might not be any alien ships left intact enough to board. Admiral Quellon finally managed to get a communication through to Chancellor Vextor on the orbital station. The Chancellor's face appeared on screen and his expression showed that he had been watching the battle unfold. Admiral, what is happening? Chancellor Vextor demanded. The reports I am receiving make no sense. The humans should be losing. The humans lied to us, Admiral Quellon replied, his voice hollow with shock. Everything we knew about them was false. Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are more powerful than ours. Their cyber warfare capabilities exceed anything we have ever encountered. We are not fighting primitives, Chancellor. We are fighting an enemy that deliberately made us think they were weak while building weapons to destroy us. On the tactical display behind him, more red icons appeared as Confederation ships continued to explode. 700 alien vessels were now destroyed. 800. 900. The numbers climbed with terrifying speed. Chancellor Vextor's scales lost their color, turning pale with fear. Can you win? Admiral Quellon looked at his display. His fleet outnumbered the humans 12-1 now, down from the original ratio, but the humans had not lost a single ship, not one. Meanwhile, his forces were being systematically dismantled by an enemy that moved too fast, shot too accurately, and disrupted his coordination too effectively. No, Admiral Quellon admitted, the word tasting like poison in his mouth. We cannot win this battle. We never could. We walked. The countdown timer on the Indomitable's main display showed 60 hours remaining. Across human space, military forces prepared for a battle that everyone else in the galaxy expected humanity to lose. But on the bridge of the flagship there was no panic. Instead, there was focused determination. Admiral Quellon watched his fleet assemble through the massive viewing screen of his command ship. 10,000 vessels moved into position with practiced precision. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers formed perfect geometric patterns in space. The formation was a thing of beauty, a testament to centuries of military refinement. "Sir, all fleet elements are in position," his tactical officer reported. "We are ready to begin the approach to human territory." "Excellent," Admiral Quellon replied. He pulled up the tactical display showing the human fleet near Kepler 442b. The 800 human ships remained clustered together in a defensive formation. "Look at them. They are preparing to defend a fixed position. They have learned nothing from military history. Static defense is a death sentence against a superior mobile force." His senior commanders nodded in agreement. One of them, a veteran of 50 campaigns, spoke up. "I have fought against species far more advanced than humans. None of them could withstand our encirclement tactic. The humans will realize their error within the first hour, but by then it will be too late to escape." The Krillian fleet began its slow, methodical advance. There was no rush. The battle would happen in 60 hours exactly as planned. Rushing would be beneath them. The Confederation did not scramble or panic. They moved with the confidence of a power that had never known true defeat. Meanwhile, in the secure briefing room of the Indomitable, Commander Hyunwoo gathered his senior staff. The room's security systems were active, preventing any form of surveillance or eavesdropping. What happened in this room would remain known only to those present. Captain Yuna entered first, followed by Lieutenant Do-hyun and Colonel Minho, who commanded the fleet's marine forces. Engineer Sora arrived last, carrying a data tablet filled with technical specifications. "Before we begin," Hyunwoo said, "I need everyone to understand the gravity of what I am about to reveal. This information has been classified at the highest level for years. Only a handful of people in all of human space know the full truth." He activated the holographic display in the center of the room. Instead of showing the current tactical situation, it showed something else. Historical data, intelligence reports, technical specifications, the complete picture of humanity's actual military capabilities. "Everything the Confederation knows about us is wrong," Hyunwoo began. "Not mistaken, not incomplete, wrong, deliberately, carefully, systematically wrong." Yuna leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the data. "You mean we have been feeding them false intelligence?" "For 12 years, Hyunwoo confirmed. Since the moment we made first contact with the Confederation, we began the deception. Every border skirmish we barely won was actually a calculated performance. Every technological limitation they observed was staged. Every tactical weakness they identified was planted." Do-hyun's mouth fell open slightly. "The Battle of Proxima. We lost 3 ships and retreated. I thought we were genuinely outmatched." "We were not," Hyunwoo said. "Those 3 ships were old vessels scheduled for decommissioning. We sacrificed them to make the engagement look convincing. The aliens studied that battle and concluded that human shields fail under sustained fire. That conclusion is now part of their tactical doctrine." He smiled. "But our real shields are 3 times stronger than what we showed them." Colonel Minho crossed his arms. "What about our weapons?" "They believe our kinetic cannons overheat and have limited ammunition." Engineer Sora spoke up for the first time. "The aliens have only seen our training weapons. Our actual combat systems use a completely different design. They fire projectiles at relativistic speeds, near light speed. The kinetic energy is so massive that it does not matter what kind of shields the target has." "And our ships?" Yuna asked. "They think our faster-than-light drives are slow and inefficient." "Another lie," Hyunwoo said. "Our drives have quantum enhancement technology that we developed in secret. We can accelerate faster and maneuver more sharply than any ship in the Confederation fleet. We have just never done it where anyone could see." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Finally, Yuna spoke. "How many people know about this?" "On Earth, maybe 200, Hyunwoo replied. "Military command, key researchers, and the president. In the fleet, about 500 officers and specialists. Everyone else believes the official story that we are brave but outmatched." "Why keep it secret from our own people?" Minho asked. Because secrets are only secure when few people know them, Hyunwoo explained. If thousands of soldiers knew the truth, it would leak. A single careless conversation, one intercepted communication, and the Confederation would learn everything. We needed the deception to be perfect. Lieutenant Do-hyun stood up and walked to the holographic display. Sir, I have been monitoring Confederation communications for months. They are completely convinced of our weakness. Their intercepted messages show absolute confidence. They genuinely believe this battle will be easy. Good, Hyunwoo said. That confidence is our greatest weapon. An enemy who respects you is cautious. An enemy who underestimates you is vulnerable. Sora pulled up technical specifications on the display. Let me explain Protocol Omega. Every ship in our fleet has received software updates disguised as routine maintenance patches. These updates contain the real tactical systems, currently dormant and invisible to any scans. When you give the activation command, several things will happen simultaneously. She manipulated the display, showing animations of each system. First, our ships will reveal their true speed and maneuverability. Second, our weapons will switch from training mode to combat mode. Third, our defensive systems will activate full-strength shields. And fourth, our cyber warfare systems will deploy. Cyber warfare? Minho asked. Do-hyun smiled. That is my department. For the past 6 months, I have been planting dormant viruses in Confederation communication networks. The aliens never upgraded their network security because they never faced an enemy capable of sophisticated electronic warfare. When we activate the viruses, their fleet coordination will collapse. Hyunwoo looked at each person in the room. The Confederation has 10,000 ships. We have 800. On paper, we should lose. In reality, we are about to give them a lesson in why underestimating humanity is fatal. As the briefing continued, miles away in his quarters, Admiral Quellon reviewed his battle plan one final time. Every detail was perfect. His fleet would surround the humans, cutting off all escape routes. Overwhelming firepower would be applied from every direction. The battle would be over before the humans could mount any effective resistance. He called up the intelligence files on human military capabilities. Limited weapons range, slow ships, weak shields, predictable tactics. The data was clear and consistent across dozens of engagements. Primitives, he muttered to himself. Brave primitives, perhaps, but primitives nonetheless. What Admiral Quellon did not know was that every piece of intelligence he trusted was false. Every engagement he had studied was theater. Every weakness he had identified was fiction. He was preparing to fight an enemy that did not exist, while the real human military watched and waited. Back on the Indomitable, Hyunwoo dismissed his staff except for Captain Yuna. When they were alone, she turned to him with a serious expression. Commander, I understand the strategy. I see how it could work. But there is still one thing that worries me. What is that? Hyunwoo asked. We have 800 ships against 10,000, Yuna said. Even with our technological advantages, that is a massive numerical difference. What if our advantages are not enough? Hyunwoo walked to the viewing screen, looking out at the stars. Captain, do you know what makes humans different from most species in the galaxy? Our aggression? Yuna suggested. No, Hyunwoo replied. Our adaptability. Most species evolve in stable environments. They develop to fit their world and then stop changing. Humans evolved on Earth, a planet that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways. We survived ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, asteroid impacts, and countless predators. We learned to adapt or die. He turned to face her. The Confederation has been stable for millennia. Their technology is refined but stagnant. Their tactics are proven but rigid. They stopped adapting because they never needed to. That is their weakness. When we hit them with something unexpected, they will not know how to respond. They will follow their training, their doctrine, their established procedures, and while they are trying to figure out what went wrong, we will be adapting to the battle in real time. Yuna considered this. You are saying that our smaller numbers do not matter because we can change faster than they can. Exactly, Hyunwoo confirmed. We are not going to fight their kind of battle. We are going to create chaos, and humans thrive in chaos. The Confederation fears disorder. We embrace it. The countdown timer continued its relentless march toward zero. 58 hours remained. Across space, 2 fleets prepared for battle. One fleet moved with careful precision, confident in their inevitable victory. Chancellor Vextor sat in his private chambers, reviewing intelligence reports about humanity. The data covered decades of observation, starting from the moment humans first achieved faster-than-light travel. He read through page after page of analysis, and every single report confirmed the same conclusion. Humans were primitives. Their technology was outdated. Their ships were slow and clumsy. Their weapons overheated after extended use. Their shields failed under sustained attack. Even their military tactics were predictable and rigid. The humans had managed to colonize a few dozen worlds, but only because no major power had bothered to stop them. They were like children playing with toys, unaware that real warriors were watching. They achieved space travel through luck, one report stated. Multiple near-catastrophic accidents during their early exploration phase suggest their success was not due to superior engineering, but rather to blind fortune and reckless risk-taking. Another report detailed human military encounters with minor species. Humans rely heavily on aggression and numerical superiority against weaker opponents. When facing technologically equal adversaries, their win rate drops significantly. Against superior technology, humans have no effective counter-strategies. Chancellor Vextor closed the reports and leaned back in his chair. The humans were brave, he would give them that. But bravery without wisdom was just another word for stupidity. Meanwhile, aboard a Krillian destroyer, Admiral Quellan met with his senior commanders. The conference room was filled with experienced military officers, each one having served in dozens of campaigns across the galaxy. The human response was unexpected, one commander said. But it changes nothing about our strategy. Admiral Quellan nodded. Agreed. We will proceed with the standard encirclement formation. Our fleet will form a sphere around their position and crush them from all directions simultaneously. He activated a tactical display showing the battle plan. The humans will attempt to break through the weakest point, but there will be no weak points. Every section of our formation will have overwhelming firepower. How long do you estimate the battle will last? Another commander asked. 4 hours at most, Admiral Quellan replied. Probably less. The humans will realize their mistake within the first hour and attempt to surrender. We will accept their surrender only after their military capability has been completely neutralized. Lieutenant Do-hyun, working quietly aboard the Indomitable, listened to the intercepted alien communications through his headphones. The Human Intelligence Network had managed to crack several Confederation encryption protocols months ago, but they had kept this fact carefully hidden. Now that investment was paying off. The translations scrolled across his screen, and each message was more revealing than the last. The aliens called humans ambitious insects in their private communications. One message from a Krillian officer to his family read, "We are about to exterminate a primitive species. It will be over before dinner time." Another transmission caught Do-hyun's attention. It was from Admiral Quellan to his fleet commanders. "Update your crews. This will not even qualify as a real battle. They will not need to reload ammunition. Most ships will not fire more than a few shots. This is an execution, not warfare." Do-hyun saved all the messages and forwarded them to Commander Hyunwoo with a simple note. "They truly believe we are helpless." On Earth, President Nari stood before the United Human Nations Assembly. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from every human colony world. Holographic displays showed her image being broadcast to billions of people across human space. "My fellow humans," she began, her voice calm but firm. "By now you have all heard about the Confederation ultimatum. You know that we have refused their demands. You know that war is coming." She paused, letting the weight of those words settle. "What you do not know is why we made this choice." The assembly hall fell completely silent. For decades, since our first contact with alien species, we have been playing a game, President Nari continued. We allowed the Confederation to think we were weak. We lost battles we could have won. We retreated from conflicts we could have dominated. We showed them outdated technology while hiding our real capabilities. We acted like primitives while building an empire. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Some representatives looked shocked. Others nodded as if pieces of a puzzle were finally falling into place. "Why did we do this?" President Nari asked. "Because we studied the Confederation. We learned how they think. We discovered their greatest weakness." She leaned forward, her eyes intense. "They are arrogant. They believe their age and their history make them superior. They stopped innovating centuries ago because they thought they had already perfected everything, and that arrogance will destroy them. In a secure research facility beneath Earth's surface, Professor Taehyun worked in his laboratory. The room was filled with advanced computers and experimental weapon systems. His team of engineers moved between stations, running final tests on equipment that would soon be deployed to the fleet. "Status report," Taehyun said to his assistant, a young woman named Sora. "All systems are ready," Sora replied, checking her tablet. "The neural network warfare system is online and uploaded to every ship in the fleet. The drive system modifications are complete. The kinetic weapons are loaded and calibrated. We are ready for Protocol Omega." "And the aliens have no idea?" Taehyun asked. "None," Sora confirmed. "Their intelligence agencies are good at gathering information, but they are terrible at analyzing it. They see what they expect to see. We showed them slow ships, so they believe our ships are slow. We showed them weak weapons, so they believe our weapons are weak. They never questioned whether we might be hiding something." Taehyun smiled grimly. "Humans have been deceiving each other in warfare for thousands of years. We have perfected the art of misdirection. These aliens have lived in peace for so long that they have forgotten how to recognize a trap." Back in space, Captain Yuna reviewed tactical data in her quarters. She had been studying Confederation military doctrine for years, and she understood exactly how they would attack. Their formations were textbook perfect. Their strategies were proven effective across hundreds of battles. Their commanders were trained in the finest military academies in the galaxy, and that was precisely their weakness. The Confederation fought by the book because the book had always worked. They never improvised. They never adapted mid-battle. They executed their battle plans with precision, and those plans had crushed every enemy they had ever faced. But humans did not fight by any book. Human military history was filled with unexpected victories achieved through unconventional tactics. Humans specialized in doing the thing that should not work, could not work, but somehow did work anyway. Humans thrived in chaos while the Confederation feared it. Yuna pulled up a quote from an ancient human military strategist. "All warfare is based on deception. When able, appear unable. When active, appear inactive. When near, appear far. When far, appear near." The aliens thought humans were unable. They were about to learn otherwise. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable looking out at the stars. In 60 hours, this peaceful view would become a battlefield. 10,000 alien ships would arrive with the intention of wiping out humanity's military presence in this sector. Lieutenant Do-hyun approached from behind. "Commander, we are receiving more intercepted communications. The aliens are placing bets on how quickly we will be defeated. The current average estimate is 3 hours and 47 minutes. Hyunwoo chuckled quietly. 3 hours and 47 minutes. They have really thought this through, haven't they? Should I be worried that they are so confident? Do-hyun asked. No, Hyunwoo replied. You should be grateful. An overconfident enemy makes mistakes. A careful enemy is dangerous, but an arrogant enemy is vulnerable. He turned to face Do-hyun. Make sure every captain in our fleet receives those intercepted messages. I want our people to know exactly how much the aliens are underestimating us. Yes, sir, Do-hyun said. As the lieutenant walked away, Hyunwoo returned his gaze to the stars. Somewhere out there, Admiral Quellan was preparing his fleet for an easy victory. The alien commander had no doubt studied every human battle, analyzed every tactic, predicted every possible move. But Admiral Quellan had made one critical error. He had studied humanity's past while ignoring humanity's potential. He had learned what humans had done, but not what humans could do. That mistake would cost him everything. The massive alien space station hung in orbit above the planet like a metal moon. Inside its main chamber, the Galactic Confederation Council gathered for an emergency meeting. Hundreds of alien species filled the seats, their forms ranging from insect-like creatures to beings made of pure energy. At the center of it all stood Chancellor Vextor, a tall reptilian alien whose scales glowed with authority. Commander Hyunwoo watched the council through a communication screen aboard his ship. The transmission quality was perfect, allowing him to see every detail of the alien faces staring back at him. Most of them looked angry. Some looked amused. None of them looked worried. Commander Hyunwoo of Earth, Chancellor Vextor began, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 worlds. The Galactic Confederation has reached a decision regarding your illegal occupation of Kepler 442b. You have 72 hours to remove all human military presence from this planet. If you refuse, we will remove you by force. Yunwu remained silent, his face calm. Behind him on the bridge of the UHNS Indomitable, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Captain Yuna stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the alien fleet gathering in the distance. "Perhaps you do not understand the situation," Admiral Quellon spoke up. The military leader of the Krillian fleet stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "Let me make it clear for you." The hologram showed two fleets. The human fleet appeared as small blue dots clustered together. There were 800 human ships in total. Then the alien fleet appeared in red, 10,000 ships, each one 3 times larger than the biggest human vessel. The comparison was stark and terrifying. "Our weapons are superior," Admiral Quellon continued, his voice dripping with confidence. "Our shields regenerate faster than your weapons can damage them. Our plasma cannons can destroy your ships in 3 shots. We have faster-than-light communication, which means our fleet coordination is perfect." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Our analysts have run every possible simulation. In every single one, your fleet is completely destroyed within 6 hours of engagement." Captain Yuna leaned close to Hunwoo and whispered, "He's not lying about their capabilities. Our intelligence confirms everything he just said." Yunwoo nodded slightly but said nothing. Chancellor Vextor raised one clawed hand. "We are not monsters, Commander. We do not wish to exterminate your species. We simply want you to acknowledge reality. You are outmatched. Withdraw now and humanity can continue to exist. Fight us, and your species will be remembered as the foolish primitives who threw their lives away for nothing." The other council members nodded in agreement. Some of them were already smiling, certain that the humans would retreat. Humans were known across the galaxy as an aggressive species, but even aggression had its limits. No rational being would fight a battle they had 0 chance of winning. Yunwoo took a deep breath. He looked at Yuna, who gave him a small nod. Then he looked at Lieutenant Do-Yoon at the communications station. The young officer's fingers were already moving across his console, ready to transmit whatever message Hyunwoo gave. "Chancellor Vextor," Hyunwoo said, his voice steady and clear. "I have heard your ultimatum. I have seen your fleet. I have reviewed your tactical analysis." He paused and a slight smile appeared on his face. "My answer is no." The council chamber fell silent. Several aliens looked at each other in confusion as if they had misheard. "No?" Chancellor Vextor repeated. "That is correct," Hyunwoo confirmed. "We reject your ultimatum. Earth stands its ground. Kepler 442b is our world now. If you want it, you will have to come and take it from us." Admiral Quellon stepped forward, his face twisted in disbelief. "You cannot be serious. Did you not understand the numbers? Did you not see the projections? You will all die." "Perhaps," Hyunwoo replied calmly, "but we will die fighting. That is the human way." Chancellor Vextor's expression shifted from confusion to something resembling pity. "This is madness. This is suicide. This is our decision," Hyunwoo said. "We will see you in 72 hours, Chancellor. Bring your fleet. Bring your weapons. Bring your confidence. We will be waiting." Before anyone could respond, Hyunwoo gestured to Do-Hyun, who cut the transmission. The screen went dark, leaving the bridge of the Indomitable in relative silence. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Captain Yuna let out a breath she had been holding. "Well, that certainly made an impression. Did you see their faces?" Lieutenant Do-Hyun asked, turning in his chair. "They think we have lost our minds." "Good," Hyunwoo said simply. "Let them think that." Back on the alien station, the council chamber erupted in noise. Aliens of every species talked over each other, some in shock, others in anger. But most of them were laughing. "They are insane," one council member said. "They are primitives who do not know when they are beaten," another added. Admiral Quellon shook his head slowly. "I have seen many species face extinction. Some beg, some negotiate, some run. But I have never seen one simply accept death with such foolish bravado." Chancellor Vextor raised his hand for silence. The chamber quieted. "Very well. The humans have made their choice. Admiral Quellon, prepare your fleet. In 72 hours, we will teach humanity a lesson they will not forget. Those who survive, if any survive, will remember forever the cost of defying the Galactic Confederation." "It will be done," Admiral Quellon replied. "Though I must say, Chancellor, this will be the shortest war in Confederation history. My fleet will crush them so quickly that historians will barely have time to record it." The council members laughed again and the meeting was adjourned. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, none of them looked worried. Why would they? The outcome was certain. Humans were primitives with delusions of grandeur. In 72 hours, they would learn their place in the galaxy. Aboard the Indomitable, Hyunwoo called his senior staff to the secure briefing room. Captain Yuna, Lieutenant Do-yun, and several other key officers gathered around the holographic table. The door sealed behind them with a hiss, and Hyunwoo activated the security protocols that would prevent any listening devices from functioning. Well, Yuna said, crossing her arms, we have declared war on the most powerful military alliance in the known galaxy. I hope you have a plan, Commander. Hyunwoo smiled, and for the first time since the transmission, his expression showed something other than calm determination. It showed confidence. Real, genuine confidence. Oh, I have a plan, he said. And the best part is they have no idea what is coming.